I kicked my volume up a little bit more from a couple days ago when I made that video about Charlie. The audio is a little low, so I apologize for that. I think it's going to be better now. I don't know. Looks good. I woke up today with like depression. The day Charlie was killed, Charlie Kirk, I was numb, and then the day after that, I was broken. And then I guess then there was yesterday, and that was just a lot of communication. I did 3 shows. I did the Culture War, Timcast Culture War in the morning. I did Pop Culture Crisis in the afternoon, and I did Timcast IRL at night. So it was a lot of like listening, venting, and Erica made the video. Thank you, Erica, for Charlie's wife, and that was pretty heavy. But I woke up today like I just want to lay in bed. I thought I can't just lay in bed. Pulled up social media and started to read the comments, and it was like not healthy. It's weird how like just even a negative comment on one of my videos was like enough to get me sad. I'm like, what the fuck? 99% positive comments. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. And people are speaking. Thank you guys for responding to that video so many ways. Thank you. Thank you. But it was just, I don't know, painful to read. And it's silly. Like, I probably shouldn't even have my head in comments on TV. And I'm looking, and like, I loaded up YouTube, and it's a lot of videos about Charlie. And then it's people arguing about it. And I think the reason I clicked this video on and to talk about this is because I started thinking, like, what's going on? I think people are feeling anger and sadness. But then I thought, I think what people are going through right now is madness. It's an emotion that isn't really talked about a lot in modern day. Back in the day, people would be like, he's gone mad. I think you might find colloquial definitions of madness and things like that, but I think what madness is when you're in pain, but you don't know why. So it's the confusion and pain together. And madness can lead to anger because people want to understand that we're driven to believe in something, to know why. That's why people are drawn to religion or science or whatever their ideology is, why there's something comforting in knowing why or believing just something. And when you don't, it's slippery. Things can spiral. Madness is a strange place to be. That's really pointless to say there, but I don't know. I'm kind of working it out in real time. Like, how do you escape madness? I mean, it's got to be something about clearing the mind. Of course, there's the simple, the what do they call it? Like the rhetorical ways to do it. Meditate, go for a walk. And they probably, I mean, those things do help. And it's probably the real solution is eat really healthy. Let your body rest. Fast if you need to fast. Drink water, as always. Get a fresh glass of water. Work that lymphatic system by exercising. Help you clear your thoughts. Lift up something heavy. Lift some weights. Because you don't always have to know why. I guess that's something about my faith in the afterlife or in God and all that. I just don't know what God is. I feel like calling it God, this 3-letter word to describe that which is unknown, is like borderline blasphemous, certainly hubristic for a human, a flawed human to claim they know what is unknown. They can tell you what lies beyond. And then I'm like, I don't know. I've come to peace with not knowing. I can't claim that you're wrong. If you have a faith in something unseen, I can't claim that you're wrong because I don't know, but I can't claim you're right. And it almost drives me to insanity to watch people make those claims without evidence or with just because they feel it, because they were told it and they believe it, so it must be true. I believe the media told me. I'm believing it, and like, but I'm okay with accepting that people have beliefs, the ones that I disagree with, ones that I don't understand, and ones that I don't see evidence for. I'm still fine with that. But I'll debate you on what I believe, which is that I don't know. I don't see any way to possibly know. I've seen spirits. I've smoked DMT and seen what I thought were spirits. Well, I vaped the crystal by heating it up in an element and then breathing in the vapor. I saw spirits. I mean, and then for me to go, well, there's obviously a spirit realm. I can't do that because just because you perceive something doesn't mean that that is it. That is what it was. You know, people have flawed perceptions. If just the sunglasses alone, can you be like, everything was brown today? Well, no, you're wearing brown sunglasses, bro. So when you see and perceive that which seems to lie beyond, you got to ask yourself how warped your perception might be, and maybe you're seeing what you want to see. I don't know. But I've seen what I thought were spirits. It's not like I think there's nothing. I don't. I think there's definitely something beyond the physical, three-dimensional body. Ian Crossland. There's a vibe, you know, there's an energy field. The Taoists had it, I think, in a lot of ways. In fact, I told myself lately, if I had to pick a religion on earth, which I don't, but if I had to, I'd pick Taoism, as far as I know. It's about the flow. Tao is the way, the flow. And I think they were tapping into magnetism, the magnetic field, and they were part of it, but they didn't know what magnetism or electromagnetism was when that, you know, philosophy was being developed. It's sort of like Taoism is like a religious philosophy. It's not really, I mean, you could call it a religion, but it's also referred to as a philosophy, a way of like living with nature and sort of. So I always thought that was pretty cool. You know, when I first started to learn about it and really kind of read about it in 2006 and 2007, I was like, yeah, I get it. But still, you know, it's just another way to look at the universe. When I think of God, when I think of like, what is it? You know, I just picture this void with stars and all these subatomic spin, this momentum. That's kind of my faith, I guess. I don't know what to call it exactly, or if it's even real, or if it's just one way to look at what's real, or if I'm making it up. But it brings me a sort of peace. Like we're talking about getting out of madness. Like I've found like a way to kind of find comfort with perception of reality in that sense. But I guess it's important not to try and force people to see it that way. Just sort of offer your view and let people decide, is that a better one than that other one? And the one that I used to think, is this the best view? And if it is, then maybe they'll adopt your view. But I mean, is it really even important that people adopt your views? I guess it depends on the views. Sorry, I'm spiraling. Other than talking about madness, I had no intention with this video. It's just good to talk. You know, I haven't made a lot of videos lately on my own. Mostly been on shows with other people. But it's good to stream of consciousness and let it out and sort of shake up your mind and then let things settle. There's a settling energy, and to see the outpouring of love from people after posting that video a couple days ago reminds me that there are people that actually care about me and who I am, and maybe there are people that don't know who I am that if I made a video they would find me and learn who I am, and their lives would be changed for the better. So even if it seems insignificant or purposeless, maybe you should give it a shot. Make a video. That shooting metaphor is so weird. Like cameras, they shoot you with a camera. What a strange thing to say. I'd be an actor and they'd be like, all right, we're going to shoot you at 2. And I'd be like, oh, good. Yeah, madness. I went through madness. I mean, personally, you know, things happen in life and maybe there's a reason, maybe there's no reason. I don't really know what reason is, to be honest, at the spiritual realm. This is one of the things when I was really deeply spiritual the last few years, I feel like reason doesn't exist in that realm. That realm is sort of beyond time, and there's no logic or reason there. It just is. Things just are. They just warmly exist in this flow of light, of heat. But that's my human brain trying to perceive that realm. There very well could be reason in that realm. Like, if anything, Charlie's passing has woken something up in me and about 100 million other people. But I don't think that's I can't imagine that would be a reason for this. That would be, it's like an after effect of it, but not like good that happened so that this. No, no. Well, no, I don't know. Like reason doesn't always have to be good when things happen. But people are so used to cause and effect in nature that we see in the three dimensions that I think they assume that everything has a cause and effect when in some cases like the cause, you can kind of reverse engineer the cause of Charlie's death. Obviously, the immediate cause was that man shot him. He pulled the trigger on that gun, and that is the reason why the bullet hit Charlie and killed him. But then you can go deeper into the reason, the cause. And this is an important thing to know if you don't, is that social media, the internet video in about 2010 changed its algorithm, the ways that it was feeding people information. It used to be chronological. I was making videos and using Facebook to promote news at this time. I watched it happen in real time, and I watched all these people's channels exposing the truth, March Against Monsanto, all these channels that I was working alongside with Minds at the time just get flatlined. All their fans couldn't see their work anymore. It went from everyone was seeing chronologically what had just been posted to people were seeing now algorithmic feeds of whatever was most popular would be what was put in front of them. And so the rage shares it wasn't the best content. It was just the stuff that was getting the most clicks and people are like, oh my God, check this out. We have the threat. This part of our consciousness, our behavior, our biology is if there's a threat, that now is the most important thing in the world. Everyone stop what you're doing. Let's resolve this wild boar that has come into the village. Everyone, put down your sticks, leave the fire, leave the cooking. Food's going to burn tonight, maybe, within reason. This threat is the most important. So on social media, when you see a threat, it tricks that part of the brain, or a perceived threat, something that happened yet 3 days ago far away, like it's not a real threat to you in the sense of like what's happening around, like what a real threat is if you've ever been in a threatening situation. Social media posts are not that. And then, so those would get shared. And then, so it'd be like a racism post, a guy gets beat by a cop, police brutality, or race crime. And then people were like, they started putting them together, and you'd have like race crime, police brutality, and or like, white supremacist hate crime, racism, police brutality. And they'd put together all these hot flash button things, and then that's what would get shared even more, because it would draw the audiences of both the people that hated police brutality and the people that hated racism would both see now the new racism, police brutality. You get not double the shares, but there's twice as, just this is a rough, explanation. Now instead of 10 people seeing it, there's 20. So so instead of 10 squared, you're going to get 20 squared, views or whatever the algorithm. You just got a larger base of people that start to share it, so the algorithm grows more rapidly, and the more people that see it faster, the more people that see it faster, and it just was like this bifurcation. And I remember when the Boston bombing happened, I think it was 2013. I was in New York City working from home up at the top of Cypress Hill. I lived in this sublet, the top of Cypress Hill out in Brooklyn. And my news organization, we were talking about it, and they're like, you got to run this. Oh, and they kept sending me like the bombing videos of it, the blood. People were like on the ground bloody, and we were like, we got to get this out. We got to get this one out. And I'm like, something just like lightning hit me, and I realized what I'd been doing was spreading, because we were chasing the algorithm, because that's how we were making money, that I'd been participating in inflaming society for like a year. I'd been doing it, and I just told him that. I was like, I'm not going to do it anymore, guys. We can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I won't do it anymore. And we stopped. And we suffered financially as a result. Our views went, I was trying to share like science, like regenerative agriculture and stuff, and it would get like 19 likes. Police brutality, 3,700 likes. And like, I just stopped personally, but it continued. The algorithm didn't change at the time that I know of, and those things started inflaming. Who knows why? Why? It could be what's called emergent, where people thought thing by building an algorithm to better help people, and it just turned into this. Sorry, my screensaver just went on. I don't know. It might have caused a little bit of a jolt there in the video. Or it could be, you can take it deeper. Now we're talking, what's the reason for all this stuff? Like I said earlier, of course, it's the guy that pulls the trigger is the reason, but why did he pull the trigger? Well, this social media radicalization. Why is this stuff being promoted? Obviously, it's part of our genetics to be afraid of threats. But why? Is it a foreign adversary? What does foreign even mean? Does it mean just outside the borders of the United States, or does it mean someone within the United States that is completely antithetical to the Constitution, like a corporation or something, where they're like, oh, I'd rather have them all as slaves? Like, are they foreigners? That's a foreign concept to me as an American. I don't like, insurgent foreign concepts. I want my Constitution to reign supreme in this land. So maybe there's like a foreign influence, obviously, or maybe it's just short-sightedness. Like maybe, when I say foreign influence, like somebody that wants to topple the United States' hegemony across the planet by getting us to destroy ourselves with self-hatred, by hyper-inflating the little problems in our society, like police brutality, which was a problem. Of course it's a problem. You don't want the cops beating people unnecessarily. But it got really spiraled out of control, and people thought thousands of people were being killed when it was like tens. I don't know. I don't want to pull numbers up because that's not why I did this. So what's the reason? Why is this happening? I mean, it could be, and then you can go even deeper. Now I can take it personally. Like, what have I done that's causing the world to behave like this? Or what haven't I done? In a lot of ways, I was silent. You probably know, I mean, if you've watched my YouTube videos for the last 20 years, you probably know a little bit about what I went through in life, but I was an actor in Hollywood. And when I kind of started to get this feeling like it was really gross and dirty, and they wanted to sell my body for sex and use me for money and wanted me to shut up and just be a pretty face and read the lines and then tell people things I didn't believe to sell a product, I broke. I fell apart. I left LA. I didn't know what to do next, and I just kind of stopped making videos. I stopped making good videos, that's for sure. The videos I would make were like depressing and sad. And I kind of just dipped away and was like, I'll just help build minds in the background. I'll build a system. I'll help build a system so that people can help themselves. Because the interfacing one-on-one with people is tough. I was trying to do that. I was trying to video chat with people and like, how are you feeling? And like get to know people, my fans, people that were watching my videos, other people that made videos, and help them one-on-one. But after about 60 people, I was a broken mess. Because every time you communicate with someone at this interface, it changes you. And so that's why people have very few, they say like 6 really close friends, maybe 60 people, in your friend zone. But it's hard for people to have more than that and maintain sanity for sure, maintain sense of self. So I got kind of turned off by the whole one-on-one interface. I backed off. I stopped kind of making quality videos like my stuff was ever quality to begin with. And then things devolved, and I didn't step in to say like, hey, this is fucked. You guys, this is not good. We got to change this. And even if it may not have changed anything, but at least I would have been participating and helping guide people, the 10-year-olds that are now 25, because everybody needs a leader of some sort, a guide or guides. I turn on YouTube almost every day and I see Theo Vaughn. I'm looking at, who's this? Vincent Oshana, Piers Morgan, Cenk Uygur, I don't know, Lex Friedman. Here we are. Oh, Jeremy Hambley, the quartering. I see Dave Smith. I'm like looking at these people that I are kind of, leaders in a way, and I sort of take pieces from all of them, and it helps me be a better person. I don't, of course, ever adhere to all of anything anyone ever says. I'm turned off by things I disagree with often. I still have my virtues and my beliefs, but I still find influence. Like Bono, the lead singer of U2, he was like a big inspiration for me to start making YouTube videos in 2006. I remember I was in Los Angeles in my apartment thinking, this guy, he had just gotten like this debt erased from this African country. He went to the UN or something. He gave a speech, and they were like, okay, we're going to forgive the debt to this country. And I was like, this is one human who was just a musician that now was able to get an entire country's debt forgiven. If he can do it, I can do it. And so I was heavily and deeply inspired by that, by Bono at the time. Didn't know a lot about him. I loved U2's music, but just the idea that one guy could make that much influence at the UN. Sure, there's other things going on, I know. I know. Dirty money, dark money, whatever. I don't know. But one guy made such a difference. I thought I can do that. And without him, I don't know if I ever would have started making YouTube videos. I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. Like maybe this was my path all along, but I don't know if I would have done it in the way I did it anyway. So dipping away from the world and just kind of waiting for things to happen is I think produces chaos. Things start to unravel if you don't engage and participate, become part of it, hold it together with your behavior. Because it's funny, but it's also strange. But it seems real that just a little bit of your personality can bind the world in such a way that is like beyond perception. I'm just like, what is the reason? I know I'm weaving around and like, what is the reason for this to happen? It goes so deep. There's obviously a reason within you. What have you done or not done? But, well, how do you heal psychosis? It's not by destroying people. Like if there's someone that's experiencing psychosis, you know, incarcerating or destroying their body doesn't make psychosis go away. It might, in the heat of the moment, stop that man's body from doing dangerous things. Yes, I understand that. But how do you heal psychosis? I think that it's just by being strong-willed in the presence of it. And then psychosis, or people that are experiencing it, have an opportunity to see a leader through the fog of psychosis, through the haze of confusion, of madness. And maybe they'll identify with it and break something, or break down, or realize, I got to change. Maybe. You can't kill an ideology. You can't force someone to heal. You can't threaten someone to stop being a psychopath. I don't think. I think it's more about inspiring, you know. Maybe you could argue that threatening is a kind of inspiration, but I don't. I think of more of a persuasion when I'm talking about inspiration. I'm only bringing. It's just I'm desperately looking for ways to heal people, the planet, and to encourage people to heal themselves. Because when I turn on the TV or YouTube, which is like my new TV, and I see people arguing about the left and the right, it's like the biggest psyop on the planet right now is to get people to think team A and team B, so that there's the others, and that you'll other people and be like, no, the others, we must fight, you know, or we must defend against. No. There's a brain parasite. There's like a way of thinking that is happening, but it's not a side of anything. It's just this way of being desensitized and demoralized that needs to be remedied. Madness. Remember madness. Think about it in your own life. How are you mad? What's made you mad in your life, and when have you experienced madness? And a lot of times when you're in it and you realize, I'm feeling madness right now, that's one of the healthiest things you can do, because you will see the path to anger and know, I don't want to go down that path. It's sadness. It's like, you know, madness, it leads to sadness or anger. You got to let it go to sadness, and it's, I mean, maybe there's a circumstance where, like, I'm talking about civilian life. I'm not in the military. I'm not storming a bunker right now. And sometimes, you know, letting the pain lead you to sadness is the better outcome than letting it lead you to anger. I mean, even in combat, anger that can turn to blind rage will make you worse of a combatant. It'll make you not think clearly and not see the threats properly. So sadness is a hard, dull poison that will hurt you. But sometimes it's like if you resist it, it's even worse. It can snap you. So you gotta. Well, you don't got to do anything, but this is just, I guess, personal advice for myself. I've found it's better to feel the sadness than to feel the anger. Sometimes. In this situation, it has been for me anyway. Remember, though, sadness can also be addictive, so We need to move on. And what I'm going to do is not ever be a guy that's like Charlie would have wanted, but I know when great people pass often, or people that are like, if I'm ever taken, keep going. Don't stop. Don't get derailed. Keep going. Keep doing it. Keep being good. And I want to believe that that's what Charlie would tell me right now. If he was here, he'd just keep going, dude. Just keep going. Keep doing it. I love you guys. Take care.